Hello there, everybody. In this episode, we'll head on over to Kenny Rogers Roasters, a chain restaurant that's popular in the Philippines. Now, why are we here? Well, one of our offerings happens to be a Detroit-style pizza, and that's what we're going to be eating today. But first, let's talk about Kenny Rogers. That's right, the actor slash country singer slash one-time roast chicken magnate. You might remember him singing hit songs like The Gambler, Coward of the County, or sang in romantic duets like Islands in the Stream with Dolly Parton and Don't Fall in Love with a Dreamer alongside Kim Carnes. He also acted in movies like Six Pack and guest starred in TV shows like Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. You remember that? So how did his name end up in a roast chicken restaurant chain? Well, it all started with John Brown Jr., a former CEO with KFC who wanted to start a chicken franchise similar to Boston Markets. This guy got into a partnership with Kenny Rogers in 1991 with a menu that primarily served American cuisine like roast chicken, ribs, and turkey. By 1995, they had about 350 stores worldwide, but not long afterwards, the market changed since rotisserie chicken became readily available in grocery stores as well as shifting pallets. In just a few years, many of their stores in America had closed down, and the chain was ultimately sold to a Malaysian consortium. Now the question you may ask is, if Kenny Rogers Roasters became bankrupt in the United States, how is it still operating in the Philippines? Well, it seems a lot of franchises that died out in America, like Shakey's and now Kenny Rogers, have continued on in Asia. It seems Filipinos have a brand loyalty and will continue to patronize these places no matter what. And that brings us over to Kenny Rogers of today. In this restaurant, they have a varied menu that includes everything from barbecued ribs, the sandwiches, and even Italian food like pasta and, you guessed it, pizza. Now, my plan was to order the Detroit-style pizza and eat it in the restaurant. However, I was informed by the manager that I wasn't allowed to film a video inside the premises, so I decided to order the pizza to go. I have to say, this was very weird. You'd think that a restaurant like this would welcome vloggers, but they don't. When I went to other fast food joints like McDonald's or Jollibee, for example, the staff over there in those places, they were totally okay with me filming videos inside their premises. Many of them even waved or posed for the camera. Ah well, that's too bad, so I guess we'll just have to eat it at home. So we went ahead and ordered the pizza, and then we'll hop into the car and then head on home.
1 hour later.
Okay, so now we're back at the house. Let's go ahead and talk about what a Detroit-style pizza is. Now, firstly, it's a rectangular-shaped pan pizza. Okay, so what's a pan pizza, you ask? Well, a pan pizza is a pizza baked in a pan instead of one of those flat dishes. Get it now? Great. Alright, so let's talk about the Detroit-style pizza. Why does it have such a name? Well, this style of pizza was invented in 1946 at a pizza place called Buddy's Rendezvous, which is still in operation, by the way. What separates Detroit-style pizza from other pan pizzas is that it has a very thick crust that's both crispy and chewy. The reason for that is because the crust is traditionally topped with Wisconsin brick cheese. Now, once the crust is baked, the cheese melts and caramelizes, forming a burnt, crunchy layer along the sides of the rectangular pan. A fun trivia fact is that the original pans for this pizza were used as automotive drip pans or used to hold spare parts for garages. So it's got that workman-like legacy to go along with it. How they bake this unique style of pizza is also different as compared to the traditional way. They bake the cheese crust first, and once that is cooked, then they add the toppings like pepperoni and add the cheese and tomato sauce afterwards, unlike the traditional pizzas that place the sauce underneath the cheese topping. And now for the good part, the eating. Let's dig in, shall we? I'll take the first slice from the top, holding the crust in my hands, and you can feel the oil from the burnt cheese. It sort of resembles a focaccia bread, but with a hard, crunchy outer layer. My first bite, and I find the crust to be remarkably airy. It's not heavy by any means, and in fact sort of tastes like one of those cheese crackers, but only thicker and with a lot more flavor. The burnt cheese outer part is hard and crunchy, but the inner portion is remarkably soft. The toppings exist as a separate layer, and also the taste is distinct when compared to a more traditional pizza slice. When you eat a traditional slice, all the flavors are combined as one, but when you eat a Detroit-style pizza, it's almost as if you're eating two separate things, because the crunchy layer of the crust forms a sort of isolated block of flavors, and this allows your taste buds to differentiate between the two as you start chewing through the whole slice. The initial sensation is of the crunchy crust as your tongue feels that bit first, followed by the savory pepperoni, and then the tomato sauce brings up the rear. There's a sort of half-a-second interval between each sensation, and it's a very different experience since you don't taste all of it at once, unlike a traditional pie. It's like eating a deconstructed pizza, the experience of popping separate flavors, one at a time. Now, I'm not sure if Kenny Rogers uses actual Wisconsin block cheese for this particular pizza, but the crust is very similar to what you would find if you ate it in the US. Even if it's just imitation cheese, it still holds up remarkably well. Yum! This is good. I'm loving the taste and the unique intervals between the various layers of this pie. So what's the final verdict? I would give this a resounding thumbs up. I don't know if this pizza is a limited offer or part of Kenny Rogers Roasters' permanent lineup, but if you can get to a branch near you and it does have a Detroit-style pizza in their menu, then I would highly recommend it. Kenny Rogers does offer other more traditional squared pizzas, and I've eaten those as well. However, I find those to be very, very bad, so go ahead and skip those. So in the end, if you're going to get pizza at Kenny Rogers, make sure you get the Detroit-style pizzas. Otherwise, stick with their chicken and ribs. And that's all for now. If you like this video, please make a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, well, I thank you for watching this far. Till next time.